Again, this is review number 2. Now, we already did review 1. You should have done it. All 3 videos are uploaded on Edmodo. This second review, we're only going to go 1 through 17, and the reason why we're stopping on 17 is because 18 through 25 are the same exact 18 through 25 on the first review. So we're only going to go 1 through 17 on this particular review number 2. So number 1, it says simplify. Guys, there's no equation here. There's no equal sign. So what we need to do is distributed property and combining like terms. After all, simplify, that's what it means, distributed property and combining like terms. So once again, it means distributed property and combining like terms. The word simplify, that's what it means. Anyhow, let's start by doing distributed property. I like to circle and include the sign that's in front, what I'm going to distribute, and then draw arrows. 9 times 4, that is 36. And it is a positive 9 times a positive 4, so that's a positive 36. And then 9 times positive 4z, that'll be a positive 36, but with the z. And then I bring down the rest. The negative 7z, I just bring it down. So what do I have here? I have 3 terms, negative 7z with the positive 6z, and of course the plus 36. But I'm going to combine the z's with the z's. So I have negative 7z combined with positive 36z. And we will get 29 of those z's. Now notice I didn't do plus 7z right here and plus 7z over there. That's only on equations, only when you have an equal sign, only when you're trying to get rid of things. Right here, simplify means distributive property and combining like terms. When I combine negative 7z with positive 36, I get 29z. And then I'm going to bring down the plus 36, and technically I'm done, because I cannot combine the 29z's with the positive 36. You can't combine it. Those are not like terms. Let's move on. Number 2 here. Solve the equation, then check your solution. You have an equation. There's k. You want k by itself. There's a fraction in front. If you don't want this 7 divided by 8, let's get rid of the divided by 8, just so it'll look like a 7k. So how do I get rid of a divided by 8?
8 divided by 8.
I do the opposite of dividing by 8. Times 8 and times 8. That way the 8's really do 8 on top over 8 on the bottom. Those cancel out, and I'll have a 7k left over. The equal sign comes down, and 14 times 8 is 112. Now, I don't know that off the top of my head. I actually did it on the calculator. You guys could use calculators. Please use them so you don't make mistakes. So the final step would be to get rid of that multiplication of 7 by dividing by 7. And you'll have k equals 112 divided by 7 on a calculator is 16. You see, it's easy. Let's move on. Number 3. We want to get x by itself. It's on the left side clearly. Let's get rid of the minus 9 first, and then get rid of the multiplication of 5. How do I get rid of the minus 9? Add 9. What you do to one side, do to the other side. Rewrite what you have left. I have a 5x, I have an equal sign, and 11 plus 9 is 20. For my final step, to get rid of that multiplication of 5 with the x, I want to divide by 5. Divide by 5. X equals 4. So that's solving. But look at number 4. Number 4 is not solving. Number 4 is simplifying. Again, what does simplify mean? Distributed property and combining like terms. So, is there any distributed property? Yes, there is. Again, I like to circle what I'm going to distribute, and I'm not going to just circle the 3. I want to call it a negative 3. That minus sign is going to be included. So I want to do the math with the negative sign in front. So negative 3 times 6, that's negative 18. Negative 3 times positive 7, that's negative 21, and of course it has an a. And what else do? I'm going to bring down this negative 9a. I'm going to bring it down. So we have this new expression. It's not an equation. We're not solving anything. We're just doing distributed property and then combining like terms. So I've already distributed. Now I have 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. Out of those 3 terms, we could combine the ones that look alike. Obviously the a's. So the a's with the a's, we're going to just combine them in our head. What's negative 9a minus 21a?
10a.
If
11a.
If you owe,
12.
Negative 30, guys. Negative 30. So if you owe $9 and you owe $21, you're going to owe $30, right? But in this case, we're talking about the value A. So you owe somebody 9 apples, you owe somebody else 21 apples, you owe a total of 30 apples. So you owe a total of 30 apples. What about that minus 18? You just bring it down. There's nothing else you could do. We are not solving, guys. It's not like you could actually get an answer, A equals 5. Right? The only thing you could do is distribute, then combine like terms. And if there's nothing else to do, that's it. That's your simplified expression. Number 5. Let's combine like terms. Again, A's with A's and numbers with numbers. So I'm going to use different symbols. I'm going to use the circle first. Plus 4A minus 2A. If I have $4 and owe $2, I'm going to have $2 left over. And then I want to combine the minus 5 with the plus 7. What do I get? Minus 5 plus 7 in your head.
2.
You get positive 2. There you go. And that's it. Notice that it's not, it doesn't say equal something else where you, I'm going to go plus 5 and plus 5. I'm going to go minus 7 and minus 7. It's not an equation. It's just an expression. And expressions you could simplify by doing distributive property, which this did not have distributive property. But we did have terms that could be combined, the A's with the A's and the numbers with the numbers. And once you combine them, that's it. It's simplified. This is your answer right there. Moving on to number 6. Is there any distributive property on number 6? Absolutely. Now, before we distribute, before we start saying 5 times 5, 5 times 6, 5 times 2, before doing that, on the inside of the parentheses, is there anything that you could actually do to make it look nicer? That's right. The 6F combined with the minus 2F. So
4F.
That's 4F, right? So let's rewrite this guy. Parenthesis 5C plus 4F. It's a little bit nicer to work with now. And let's not forget the outside value of 5. This guy, let's just bring it down. There's a 5 out there in the front. So
5C plus 20F.
that's right. Let's distribute 5 times 5C. That's 25C. 5 times 4. That's 20, of course, with an F. And that's all you could do right there. That's number 6. That's simplifying. It's not solving. It's funny how a lot of students say, what do I do? Solve it right there? No, you can't solve this. It's not like you could get C by itself or F by itself. You can't solve it. Let's move on to number 7. Name the number sets, the sets of numbers to which each number belongs. Now, they only give you one number. Now, what do I mean by number sets? It goes back to like the first or second week of school, guys, where you classified numbers. First of all, what is the square root of 16? 4. Now, we're classifying the number 4. So, is 4 a real number? Yeah, it's real. Is 4 rational or irrational?
Rational.
Rational.
It's an integer.
It's also an integer.
A whole number.
And also natural.
Yep. It's also a whole number. And finally, natural. And of course, all these are going to be on multiple choice. So you just have to identify that. Okay? No, they just give you they give you this number, and you just have to select A, B, C, or D on the midterm.
Oh.
Now, maybe one answer will just be rational. And of course, it's not just rational because it says name the sets. So more than one, does it fit in more than one? Yeah, it's natural. The number 4 is natural, but it's also a whole number. It's also an integer. It's also rational because it makes sense, and it's also a real number.
If you just say 1, is it wrong?
If you just say 1, it's going to be wrong. See, it says name the sets. It probably should read name all the sets, but this means that you got to name all the groups it belongs to. Now, what if I would have given you this? Like, what if I would have said the square root of 13? Name all the groups it belongs to. You would say it's real because every single number is real except for imaginary numbers, all right? But what else? It's irrational. Real and irrational. And that's it, guys. For the square root of 13, it's just real and irrational. It does not belong to the naturals or to the wholes or to the integers. Does that make sense? Okay. So should we do another one? One more?
Yeah, number 9.
Wait, no, but one more of these. So like, what if I told you what's negative square root of 25? Name all the groups it belongs to. It's real.
Real number, integer,
Oh, integer, no?
Now, okay, so is it rational or irrational?
Rational.
Rational because it makes sense, right?
Yes.
When you think about this, it's really -5. And -5, it's real. It's rational because it makes sense. You guys know what owing $5 is. It's rational. It makes sense. It's an integer.
It's a whole.
And that's it. It cannot be a whole number. Because remember, a whole number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you're talking about a negative number, like right here, -5, that would be just an integer, right? Integers are positive and negative numbers. But if you had a decimal, then it would just be rational because it would be a ratio, which is a fraction. So I hope this kind of clears it up a little. Let's move on to number 8. You want to solve number 8? You want to get z by itself? Going back to the word solve. What does solve mean? Get the letter by itself on one side. Which letter? You want the z's by itself on one side. You have z's on both sides. You don't want that. So let's get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of the 4z. Cancel out. 4z. So when you go 5z, take away 4z, that's just 1z left over. You don't even need the 1. You could just write z. As a matter of fact, I want to erase it. Just z. And of course, I'm going to bring down everything else. I have a -2, I have an equal sign, and I have a 1. So z minus 2 equals 1. I need to get z by itself. I need to get rid of this -2. What do? Add 2.
Yeah, add 2.
And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Z equals 3, and you're done.
Oh. Okay.
And now, number 9. If g of x equals x squared minus 2x plus 3, find g of -6. So I explained this on the other video. I need to explain this again because we only spent like half a period on this back in the beginning. See, g of x, that's just a name. It's like a notation. What is g of x? This right here is g of x. Okay? Now, g of x, it could be h of x, it could be f of x, it could be q of x, r of x. That is just a name. Now, when they say this, g of -6, g of -6, that does not mean for you to multiply g times -6. That's not it. Again, this is just notation. And what is this notation? It's like a shortcut for an instruction to you. And the instruction that this right here, the instruction that this is saying is, that's the shortcut, that's a notation. So g of -6 is really telling you, see how up here was g of x? See how there's no more x? What this is really saying is to take all your x's and replace them with the value of -6. So it's a lot faster to do this notation than to actually write out this whole sentence. Okay? So g of -6, what that's telling us to do is to replace the x squared, replace the x with the -6. And then the -2 times x is not going to be -2 times x, it's going to be -2 times -6. And then the +3, it's just written at the end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so Matthew, from here, what we're going to do is just simplify. Because after all, the g of -6, that means replace all x's with the value of -6 and then simplify. So to simplify, you need to use PEMDAS, the correct order of operations. You start with parentheses, but there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. So then you move on to exponents. Are there any exponents? Yes, there's -6 squared right here. And that'll give you a +36. And then you could rewrite everything, -2 times -6 plus 3. So now we truly have subtraction, multiplication, and addition. So what do we do next? Multiplication. So I'm going to call this -2 a -2 and go times -6. -2 times -6 is +12. I'm going to write it down here. I'm going to bring down the 36, bring down the +3. And for my final answer, I'm just going to do this right here. 36 plus 2 plus 12 plus 3. We're going to get 48 plus 3 is 51. Final answer, 51.